Shakti called Parvati. You know, that the Shankara has a twofold activity. One is a Brahman activity, another one is Shakti. So his manifold powers are Shakti. So idea of Radha, because he was also from Bengal, and the Shaivite school was dominant in Bengal as well. So his idea came sort of a mixture of all those things, you know, the Shaivite school and Jaydev's Radha and all those things. So that's the point. All right, let's move on to the next one. Now this is Vallabhacharya's, okay, which is, oh, na badlo agal jawa do. Yeah, okay. It's called, next one.
Next one, okay, sorry.
Shuddha Advait. So what Shankaracharya, I mean, idea of Shankaracharya was rejected by Vaishnava school, but Vallabhacharya accepted some of the ideas from everyone. So think about it, say every Vaishnava school has some from other Vaishnava school, something different from the Vaishnava school, and maybe a slight from Keval Advait point of view. So Vallabhacharya's version is Pustima ke aapne jane kahi hai, is called Shuddha Advait. So he defined Shankaracharya is Keval Advait, and he said mine is even purer than yours, which is called Shuddha Advait. Now he himself did not coin the word. There was his disciple called Girdhari who coined this word, Shuddha Advait, pure Advait instead of Keval Advait. Keval means only Advait. And so another difference is this, Advait means not two. It appears to be two, but it's not really two. There is a concept called monism, which means it is not just not appearing like two, there is actually only one. Doesn't even appear like two. So that's a minor distinction. When somebody says Advait, it means not two means one. But one appearing as two versus one appearing as one only. So that is his idea. So what he said is that God is a person named Krishna, supreme personality called Godhead Krishna. And he is the most powerful, omnipotent, omniscient. He controls the world, he creates the world, he resolves the world and everything. And we are like a spark of a fire. That he is the fire burning eternally, and we fly out from him, exist for a few brief seconds and disappear. But the fire keeps on burning all the time. So that's his idea. Now that same idea existed in Vishishtadvaita Ramanujacharya too. So that is basically amplification of the same idea. Okay? And his idea was, yes, you are right, Nirgun Brahman is there, but Nirgun Brahman is part of Sagun Brahman. Nirgun Brahman doesn't control Sagun Brahman. Sagun Brahman controls Nirgun Brahman. So Krishna the man, the Krishna the supreme personality is born as Krishna the man, and he controls the Nirgun Brahman. That is his idea. And Jiva and Jagat are part, like I mentioned about as a spark and whatnot. And his idea is that world is truly existent. There is no illusion. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Vallabhacharya was offshoot of Madhvacharya?
I mean, I wouldn't call it offshoot of anybody, but he had...
Madhvacharya also believes in Lord Krishna, right?
Madhavacharya and Ramanujacharya were Vishnuites. Vishnu.
Oh.
And Achintya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Vallabhacharya were Krishnites.
So where does Vallabhacharya fall into Shankaracharya, Ramanuj and Madhvacharya? Okay, that's also next one.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a mixture of all of them.
Oh.
So,
but 15th century, right? 15th century?
Yeah, oh, yeah, you're talking about time frame. Oh, yeah. It's about 15th century, right, yeah.
Okay, latest.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Raman and Vallabhacharya appear to be in the same century.
I see, okay.
Yeah, but differentiated from Bengal versus South India.
Oh, okay.
But they were essentially in the similar time frame, roughly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the idea of Lord Krishna manifesting as a child, manifesting as a brother, manifesting as a lover, and all those things were developed by Pushti Marg, which is Vallabhacharya. Apne Vatsalya Bhav, a mother's love for kid, then friends love, Sakya Bhav, for Krishna. Gopi as a lover of Krishna, Madhurya Bhav. All those ideas became his trademark.
I see. So Radha was still in our Vallabhacharya.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
No, but Radha was also,
He
right?
accepted that. Radha became part of that.
Also
But
part
Gopi,
of
right, Gopi in general, but Radha, dominance of Radha in Achintya Bhed is that is the final authority, is not so in Vallabhacharya's version.
okay.
Krishna is the final authority.
Oh,
Yeah, Krishna is a final, but Radha was still
In the-
incorporated in the Vallabhacharya.
In the mix, yes, you are right.
Okay.
But idea of a Bala Krishna, Krishna as a kid, was a unique contribution of Vallabhacharya,
Vallabhacharya.
Pushti Marga. એટલે આપણે જે પેલું ઝુલાવે છે ને બધું જે કરે છે, that
Right.
idea came around 15th century.
All the પેલું ના પેલું નાગ દમન ને બધું જે થાય છે.
Those stories were there in Bhagavad. Bhagavad was written maybe few hundred years before that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But generally speaking, Vaishnavite school will say Bhagavad is a very important document. Okay, there are four, they will say, Keval Advaita will say there are three documents, Upanishad, Gita, and a Brahma Sutra, which are the authority. And a Vaishnavite will say all the three are fine, but Bhagavad is equally important.
Okay.
So that is not necessarily unique for Vallabhacharya, it's common for all Vaishnavite schools.
All Vaishnava, okay.
Right.
Oh,
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this one has basically three kinds of jiva. One is pure, siddha, pure Suddha jiva, which has a divine quality. That's the highest, class A quality, if you want to call that. Then sansari jiva, that goes to birth and death cycle and learn through the Veda and studying everything. And mukta jiva. Mukta means they're already liberated while they are alive. So they are essentially siddha. They are already have acquired the proximity to Godhead while they are alive. Okay. One more thing, important differentiation between Vaishnavite school and Keval Advaita. Vaishnavite school will say the final moksha can only happen after you die, post-mortem. Keval Advaita will say Jivan Mukti can happen while you are alive in this world. Essentially something like I explained last time, you see the mirage in the water. We will continue to see the mirage in the water, not realizing there is no water. But the one who is Jivan Mukta will know there is no water there. Though he will continue to live like you and me, but he already has acquired that knowledge, the water doesn't exist. And we are like, we think the water still is there. So we keep on going after the water. So typical Jivan Mukti concept is dominant in Keval Advaita, not so in Vaishnavite school. The Mukti can only happen after you die. The knowledge will come. The knowledge that I am Atman will come, but that will not liberate you. And the liberation according to them is proximity to God. And that proximity of God to God is only after you die. All right, so there are three kinds of souls, Pushti soul, and there is one more concept. One is you have to surrender yourself to God. And second, God has to give you grace, similar to Christianity. Okay, so you can surrender, but God selects who will be given grace. So there is one category. Pushti souls are the one who receive the grace of the God after you surrender. And there are souls which have surrendered but not gotten the grace. And there are souls which are like average person who either have none of the two. So they will keep on being born and die until they eventually get one of those down the road. Okay. So that's called Pusti soul, Maryada soul. And also they're talking about the God has three aspects. And that comes from Vedanta, which we haven't covered. Okay. You and I have multiple layers. Atman is covered by multiple layers. And I haven't talked about that. So Pravai soul comes from the mind of the God. Then Maryada soul comes from the word of the God. Now these are all minor distinctions. And Pusti soul comes from the blessed body of the God. So when they merge, that's how they merge. Okay. So I think that's not very important, but we may very well come down when we talk about Pusti Mark down the road again. So I'm just covering it up for the time being. Let's move on to the next one. So Bhakti is of multiple types. You know, the next slide, if you can read, it says Pravai Bhakti, like a flow of a river. You are trying to attain the God, but you are in the sansar. So you keep on flowing. You may or may not get it. Then Maryada Bhakti is a devotion which is more than usual, worshipping the God. Pusti Bhakti is doing all this kirtan and japa and everything. So Pusti Marg is emphasizing a lot of things, japa and kirtan. Same thing with Achintya Bhetu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also dancing and kirtan, the bhakti and manjira vagada. All these things are dominant in two schools, Pusti Marg and ISKCON.
ISKCON, yeah.
Okay, the way they see is that you get so engrossed while you are doing it that you reach the state of bliss. You come close proximity to the Godhead. That is what they say. Now, Keval Advaita will make a point. He said, yeah, you may very well reach the state of bliss, but it's only temporary. It is purely emotion. So you will go up and fall down again pretty quickly. So that is not the way to liberate yourself. That is just a way to experience, but that is not a liberation. You will fall back. That is what Keval Advaita will say. The knowledge is the only one that can liberate you. Bhakti and Kirtan and Japa are temporary phenomenon, not a permanent phenomenon. And then Shuddha Pusti Bhakti. Now there are three ways to look at the grace. How do you get the surrender? One is monkey's way. Baby monkey clings on to the mom. Baby cat doesn't. Baby cat just surrenders and a mom holds the baby in the teeth, in the mouth. So basically, baby cat doesn't make any effort. It is all mom who makes the effort very tentatively and very gingerly so that baby doesn't get hurt. But monkey has to cling to the mom, otherwise they'll fall down.
Yeah.
So that is the way of bhakti, surrender. One is you make a sincere effort to connect to God. Other one is that you basically say, okay, well, tujhe kare de sachu. I'm going to surrender. And the third way is called kangaroo way, which is a sort of sitting in the pouch of the mom. Now that idea came after many, many centuries. That wasn't existent when these guys wrote it, because they didn't know what kangaroo is. That came around Radhakrishnan time. So like in 100 years ago or something like that. So basically, one way is to look at it is, you make the effort to surrender. Now God may or may not choose you. You may keep on trying. Maybe God someday will choose you. And then God has to reciprocate. And that is the Pusti Marg. That you make an effort and you make yourself so good that God comes and decides to put the grace on you and accept you as the liberated one. So that is a classical way, similar to Christianity too, by the way. Christianity was also same idea, that you surrender to Christ and then Father will select you, similar to that. Now the idea of moksha is something that I wanted to touch. And Pratap had asked me the question about Svarg and all those things. So let's say 7, so we have about 15 minutes left, about 10 minutes or so. Let me touch the base. By idea of Svarg in Vaishnavites as twofold. One is a temporary swarga. That means આપણે આપણા ઘરોમાં નથી હોતું કે દાદરો એક બાજુ જાય અને બીજી વચ્ચે પ્લેટફોર્મ અને પાછું બીજી બાજુ ઉતરી જવાય ને એક દાદરો સીધો ઉપર જતો હોય એટલે goes like this. There is a platform and then one goes up. So you may go up, stay on the platform and come down. So that is a lower swarga. So that is not emancipation. But there's a higher swarga called Vaikuntha Loka. આપણે જેને ગોલોક કે વૈકુંઠ કે કૃષ્ણ ભગવાન વૈકુંઠ લોકમાં રહે છે ને વૈકુંઠમાં. That idea is the ultimate swarga. That is bhakti version. So in that version, when you reach the higher level of swarga, you basically have multiple ways you will be liberated. And they are like called samipya. That means you are close to God. Sayujya, that you will acquire the body or the luster of God. Not only you are close to God, but you acquire the luster of God. Sarupya, that means you essentially become like God. The difference is that you acquire all the characteristics of God, but you don't ever become omnipotent. That you have no power to create this world. You do not have the power to maintain this world or destroy this world. You have many characteristics of Godhead without the ultimate power that resides only in God. So that is the difference. Depending upon what you, I mean, even Vallabhacharya goes on say something like that if you really are good, you may live to eternity in Vaikuntha as a bird, as a tree, as whatever. So basically living in the proximity of Godhead, Krishna, wherever the God resides. And you go further, then you get a house close to God, you acquire the body of a God, but you don't have ever the power of the God. That's the ultimate union, call it that way. When Brahma Sutra and Upanishad say yogam, that is what they mean. That is what these guys say it means. So basically you maintain yourself as you are. You get to a higher degree closer to Godhead, but you never ever come to a point where you become like him or her, if you believe her. And second, you never ever dissolve yourself into God. Vallabhacharya, that will be the Vaishnava school. Keval Advait will say, ultimate emancipation only comes when you lose your identity. Like a drop of water that falls in the ocean, you cannot anymore distinguish anymore. That idea doesn't exist in Vaishnava school. Bhakti school will say, ultimate aim of moksha is to experience the pleasure or the bliss of being close proximity of Godhead. That is the ultimate moksha. And there is a step beyond that for Keval Advait, which is you do not remain who you are anymore. So you become the ocean yourself. So that is the final stage of Keval Advait, emancipation. So when one talks about liberation, Gnana Yoga will say liberation means you lose your identity and become Brahman. Bhakti Yoga will say you maintain your identity and experience the bliss of Brahman. That is the major difference between Vaishnava school and Keval Advait school.
Quick.
Yeah.
Okay, આપણે પહેલા વાત કરી હતી કે in the Bhakti Yoga, when I thought that we just discussed that it's temporary. You go up high and then come back to reality. Right. But I thought earlier we talked when you ultimate bhakti will bring you to Gnan. Now, explain that.
Yeah. Well, Vaishnava school will say Gnan is to recognize that you are part of Brahman.
Okay.
Yeah. And the ultimate emancipation comes by being in proximity of Godhead.
Godhead.
Shankaracharya will say ultimate Gnan will show you is that you are Brahman. So once you are Brahman, you don't lose, you no longer remain independent anymore. So Keval Advait Shankaracharya will say is that ultimate moksha is you lose your identity and merge once and for all.
Yeah.
And then you will never be born again.
Correct.
Yeah.
moksha according to our school, Vaishnava school will be, is that you will be not born again, but you will remain
might-
independent.
Yeah, but you will not
Yes,
get
you
the
are in a lower swarga.
Yeah, but
Then
you
you will
never
be born
pass.
again. Okay, so
we'll go to Vaikuntha. Huh?
you go to Vaikuntha, precisely.
Vaikuntha.
Okay, એક મિનિટ my slide અહીંથી જતી રહી છે એટલે we are trying to find the slides. 5 minutes, we'll keep on 5 more minutes and then we'll stop. Well, I think we are almost at the end of this anyway.
તારામાં છે
તમને
તમને
દેખાય છે
slide
slide?
દેખાય છે?
Can you see the slides?
No.
ના
ના
મારા-
સ્લાઇડ નથી દેખાતી. ના નથી દેખાતી.
અશોકભાઈ સ્લાઇડ ગઈ?
Okay, well, I mean, I think
Right?
I already explained the slides anyway. So there is a statement by T.S. Eliot in Legal Greetings, and I'm reading that. We shall not cease from exploration. At the end of exploring, we'll come to arrive where we started and know it for the first time. So essentially what he's saying is that you are searching for something
હજી
and you
આગળ.
come back, next one, you come back to the same place. The difference is that same place, now you know what that same place is. You were there,
અશોકભાઈ એના પછી.
you were there already. You
એના
just
પછી.
didn't know
હા બસ.
the same place is Brahman. So you keep on searching for Brahman everywhere and you come back to the same place and you realize that you are already in Brahman. So that's what T.S. Eliot says. Something like I explained last time, a couple of back, that a girl who was adopted by someone is told at age of 18 that she is not Stephanie, but she was Leslie. Now, only thing changed is that Stephanie didn't know that she was Leslie. And now she knows that she's Leslie. So what she believed, that I am Jiva and I am body and I'm mind and these are my parents and whatnot, which were not true, she just comes to know now is that all these things that she believed was not true. So that is the final knowledge. So essentially, Keval Advait will say, there is a curtain that hides the reality. You just remove the curtain and you will know that you are the God. You are Brahman yourself. And you were searching for something. You believed you were something and you didn't know that you were already there. So it wasn't like something that you acquired. You already were there. You were just ignorant of that. So
આગળ.
I think that, I already covered most of, Kaivalya, the concept of moksha in Jainism, I thought, let me just finish that part. So just think about moksha is depending upon how you view it, moksha is like a water, flowing water, one way. Moksha is the same water that becomes ice, doesn't flow anymore. And moksha is also, last stage is vapor. When the heat comes, the water becomes vapor. You can't see it anymore. So depending upon what moksha you believe in, either you are flowing through and become an ocean water, or become kaivalya, means you are a sheet of ice. There is nothing else. There is no differentiation anymore. It's all ice, one place. Or Buddha will say moksha is like vapor. It exists but doesn't exist. So it exists in a form that you don't see anymore. So that is a moksha or nirvana of Buddha. Kaivalya of Jainism and yoga is like ice. And ocean is like Brahman, that the water fell, the drop fell and became the ocean. So depending upon how you view moksha, you can have it multiple ways. And the last part is last part is, think about, I think I explained, moksha is like something like you light a candle. At the night, the candle is bright. But when the dawn comes and the day out comes, the candle is still burning, but candle is no longer relevant because the sunlight has overwhelmed the candle. So it is a state. So candle can keep on flickering, but it doesn't get affected. But the light is so overwhelming, it makes no difference anymore. So depending upon how you view it, the moksha can be like dawn and then eventually sunlight. Or at night, it's like a candle that brights light with the bright light. Or Keval Advait will say, when the candle is completely melted away and there is no flame, there is no wax, that is the ultimate moksha. There is nothing more, nothing left. Only thing left is sunlight. So the dawn has given way to the sunlight, and you no longer burn anymore. You no longer have a flicker anymore. You no longer have a wax. And everything has merged back into nothingness. So that will be a different way of looking at moksha. So depending upon how you view it, you can continue to argue endlessly. I mean, nobody knows what for sure. But that's the way Vaishnava school will look at versus Keval Advaita. And what I think next time we'll do is we'll try to concentrate on the key aspect of Pusti Marg and incorporate with Bhagavad Puran and everything next time around. But I think this covers everything that these slides had.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, anything?
Nicely explained.
Very good presentation
very
and very nicely
nicely
explained.
Very nicely explained.
Good. I think most of the slides already have some of this information that I told you about. But
રાજેશ ભાઈ
Yeah.
એક તમે સ્ટેટમેન્ટ કર્યું ફેક્ટ ચેક કરવાનું છે કે યુ આર સબસર્વિયન્ટ ટુ સ્મિતાબેન એ ચેક કરવું પડશે કે સાચું છે કે ખોટું છે.
That is given, man. That is given.
અશોકભાઈ આ બધી સ્લાઇડ તમે મોકલી છે, રાઈટ?
Yeah.
Yeah, રાજેશભાઈ
રાજેશભાઈ બધાને મોકલી છે. યા
Yeah. Presentation is given to everyone.
ઓકે, થેન્ક યુ.
આઈ થિંક હવે આનું પણ એટલે આ બધી બધું રેકોર્ડ કરે છે એટલે એ પણ મોકલે છે લિંક.
Yeah, એ તમે જોઈ, એ તો જોઈ.
છે બધી સ્લાઇડ.
પણ મને પેલું સ્લાઇડ નું નતું ખબર.
Right.
સ્લાઇડ નું હતું.
Now, Maharaj, tell me,
રેકોર્ડિંગ મળ્યું, રેકોર્ડિંગ તો મળ્યું.
again.
ઓકે
Yeah,
ગુડ
but I think this covers everything that the slides had. Yeah.
યા
Thank you.
ઓકે
All right. We'll see you next time then.
સી યુ મંડે ઓનલાઈન.
Thank you.
ચલો.
Radhe Radhe.
Thanks, Rajan.
શું કહે છે અનિલભાઈ? શું કીધું? જય રાધે રાધે. સમજણ ના પડી. શું કીધું અનિલભાઈ?
I am changed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Radhe Radhe.
I am changed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You sold me there. Radhe Radhe.
પણ મને ગમ્યું કે રાધા ઇઝ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ એટલે પછી મને બી થોડું સારું લાગે ને આમ. નહીતર આપણે પરાણે ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ લઈ લેવા છીએ બધા. ચાલો આવજો બધા.
Avjo.
આવજો બાય.
રાજનભાઈ.
થેન્ક યુ.
બાય.
End meeting.